Hey, what's going on, everyone? Alex Hart here, and welcome back to everyone's favorite videos on this channel, our power rankings. We're about halfway through May now. It's May 16th, I think. Wow, the season's going by quick. But before we jump into this rankings, I just want to say a couple things. Please go down there, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do power rankings every Sunday. Do daily review videos of all the games and kind of following the season along, things like that, and let me know what other kind of videos you guys want to see. I'm looking forward to building all sorts of kind of content around baseball, hockey, other things. On top of that, this is the power rankings. This is just based off what I see on a week-to-week basis. Just because you have an awful week or a very good week doesn't necessarily correlate to where you finish on the board. As well as I get this comment a lot. Apparently, people are saying some team's record is the best in the league, so they should be first. That's not how it works for me. If I wanted to just go by the record of a team, I would just click the standings button. This, for me, is if I took how teams are playing right now, how they've matched up against other teams, where I see them finishing at the end of the season. So, like, if I have some team in first, I expect them at this point, really to make the World Series. If they're down here, bottom. Top two rows, fighting for a playoff spot, that kind of thing. So I'll try to explain it as I go, but let's just jump into it. We have a new bottom contender. Don't know if they've been the bottom. They might have been the bottom 1 week so far this season. We've got the Colorado Rockies. It's Sunday, and if you watched any of the baseball today, you saw them blow the game. Meanwhile, the team that was prior there had a pretty decent week. But Rockies have just been bad. They've been blowing games. Their bullpen is awful, and they're just having trouble winning. I think a lot of people expected them to be the worst, so it's not a surprise. They're number 30. Number 29, moving up one spot, they're the Detroit Tigers. And like I just said, they had a pretty good week for the Tigers. I think they've won a series or two along the way here. I can't hold them in the bottom anymore. They, at least to me, head-to-head, would be beating the Rockies, although I don't think anyone wants to see that series too much. Number 28, the Baltimore Orioles. I believe that's the exact same spot they were in last week. And really, there's not much change going on. They didn't show any huge lines of support to move up, and the same goes that nothing really. I still think they're better than these two teams. So. Number 27, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I might be underrating them a little bit. They just did win their series over the weekend, so could be maybe a couple spots higher. But from like these next couple, all relatively in the same area. So number 26, the Arizona Diamondbacks, same kind of story. They just had a interesting series over the weekend where they ended up losing 2 of the 3 over to the Nationals, and they sometimes show some signs of having great pitching, sometimes show some signs of having great hitting, but just no consistency whatsoever for the Diamondbacks. Like I said, I expect them to at least beat the Rockies, but number 26. That leaves us number 25, and the Miami Marlins. I think if the Marlins were like not in such a contested division, they could be a little bit higher, but from my point of view, they're going to be pretty much dead last in the East. Better than all the teams below here. Their offense, they just have such trouble getting offense scoring. Number 24, the Texas Rangers. They're the first step outside of the bottom row, a team that's trying to go in the right direction, move on up, but still, I expect them to be last place in the American League West, and they show signs of having some good offense here and there, and Kyle Gibson's having a year, but I think we all understand that they're not going to go too much further than that. Brings us to number 23. Quite possibly the team that's been fluctuating the most over the season. I think they started down here, and then they were up as high as like 8 or 9 early in the season. But the wheels have seemed to have fallen off this train for the Cincinnati Reds. Pretty much, if it wasn't for the huge comeback today against the Rockies, I don't know where I would have them, to be honest. That was an interesting game for sure. Number 22, got the Angels. And I talked about this last week, and I'll just reiterate. I want the Angels to succeed. I really want to see that team in the playoffs. But they can't get anything together. They can't get their offense going when their pitching's going. They can't get their pitching going when their offense is going. And now Ohtani's next start's being pushed back, so that's a little worrisome for the future of the Angels. I don't see them at this point being competitive. They barely squeaked out a win against Boston over this weekend. Pretty much saved their week. Number 21, coming off a fresh series win, the Washington Nationals. They're floating around. They're trying to keep in the race of the National League East, and honestly, all the teams ahead of them are kind of letting it happen. No one's pulling away, and the Nationals are staying strong. Trey Turner's having a season right now. Strasburg's expected to be back soon, and they have Max Scherzer every 5 days, who will pretty much help them pick up a win most of the time, right? So, number 20, the Chicago Cubs. They're kind of in that central rough season for them, from my perspective. Some days they show signs of life that they're here to play, but most of the time it's rough. They're either having trouble scoring or their pitching's getting knocked around. Lucky for them, they're technically, like, I would say from here on, technically still playoff worthy. I would say all these bottom, probably not. But these guys, they're not out of it, at least yet, until later in the season. And number 19, Minnesota Twins. I don't even know. I'm shocked they've just been free falling. They might have started my very first power rankings this season in the very top row. I can't honestly remember, but now they're here. They've just been rough. They had a rough series against Kansas City this week. They just can't win a series. I think now they've lost 6 series in a row or something crazy like that. But Twins, a lot of struggles going on. Unless they turn it around, could be a short season for the Twins fans out there. Number 18, and probably one of the biggest falls in the past week. They lost 11 in a row at one point. Kansas City Royals. Not much else other to say than they lost 11 in a row. They played Chicago White Sox 4 times this weekend. Went 2-2. Doubleheader was a big part of that. But the pitching it's going to be hard for them to catch these teams up above them here. Number 17, we got the Philadelphia Phillies. Coming off a series loss to the Blue Jays this past weekend, and they're struggling. Their bullpen, their pitching's been really hit or miss. Their bats have been hit or miss. They're dealing with some injuries right now. Again, I'm going to say it, this East, it's really up for grabs. And just going to show here, number 16. And then I'll just do it too. Number 15. This is the top of the East. These guys are all in a row here. I put your money on any horse right now, because right now it's anyone's game between these 3 teams. And honestly, the Nationals, not too far behind. Atlanta 16th. They've been missing Acuna now for a couple days. Had an insane scoring game today against Milwaukee, and they got swept by the Jays this week. And their pitching just can't do it this season so far for them. Right now, Atlanta's really struggling to stay afloat. They're close to 500. The Mets on the other side are a little bit above 500, but still don't see really the signs of the offensive life. And now they don't have DeGrom, at least for the last while. It's a big concern. But this division, wide open for anyone, really. Number 14, one of our biggest climbers of the week, the Seattle Mariners. They keep getting it done. They're above 500. They're winning games against teams that are supposed to be better. They're getting their big prospect and Kelenic coming up. Their pitching's been pretty good with Chris Flexen and Kamichi and things like that. Seattle's right in the hunt. Mitch Haniger is leading the league in home runs. 14th, they're right in the hunt at this point, and maybe this is the highest they get, but right now they're chipping away. I'm pretty sure I started them in the bottom row. Number 13, the Tampa Bay Rays. I think the Rays lost both series this week. I think they lost to the Yankees. I'm trying to remember right now who they were playing this weekend. I know they won today. Maybe it was the Mets. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, they're right in the middle. They had a pretty average week, so they didn't go up. And the teams behind them, some people catching up like the Mariners. But everyone kind of had like a mediocre week for the most part. Number 12, we have the Brewers. And they really peaked. I peaked them up at second a couple weeks back. I think I jumped on that gravy train a bit too early. There is some concerns around the offense, although today they put up 10. Their pitching has been amazing, although this past week there was a couple games where they got knocked around a little bit. The depth of their pitching worries me a little bit. This division, it's the Central, is wide open. I'm going to keep saying that, right? Number 11, we have a little bit fall from the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland, I had an okay week. They lost to the Mariners over the weekend here, and it's the depth of their starting pitching that I'm a little concerned about. At the beginning of the season, I was very amped about it. They were showing a lot of signs of life, but now once you get to the fourth, fifth starter for the Indians, it's starting to get a little worrisome. Their offense, it's been better than expected. At least the beginning of the season was a little rough, and they've turned it on quite a bit down the stretch here, but I just think they're flirting with fire. They're either about to go on a tear, or for the most, they might start dropping out of the race a little bit. That's my outlook on it. Number 10, and the New York Yankees, and they're right back into it. I couldn't put them up any higher, even though I believe they probably could be. They're the hottest team in baseball right now. Their starters, their bats, their relief, it's all been very good. But for the most part, the teams ahead of them have beat them when they've played, or they're just been more consistent for longer. The Yankees did have that down stretch for a little while, and that's what set them back down here at one point. So it's going to take a little time to get some confidence back, but I anticipate the Yankees to keep moving on up here. Number 9, that brings us to the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays had a pretty successful road trip where they went out to Oakland, Astros, and then Atlanta. And then they capped things off with a homestand this weekend against the Phillies, and they won. The Jays have been performing pretty well around the league, and they're not even at full capacity, really. If you look at their pitching, a lot of injuries there in the bullpen specifically. They don't really have a fourth or fifth starter right now, and they're missing George Springer. So the fact that they're putting on what they are with Vladdy popping off, Semien popping off, without those guys, they're still winning. So they're 9th right now, and they did win 2 series against the Yankees, so I had to give them that edge there for sure. Number 8, coming off getting swept this weekend, we have the Cardinals. Not holding it too much against them that sweep because they are playing one of the top dogs with the Padres. But overall, I think that's a pretty reasonable spot for the Cardinals. They're head of the Central. They got a little bit of a boost on the Brewers, and after that, it falls off pretty quickly to the Cubs. So it seems to be a 2-team race. I think at this point, it's pretty respectable. Number 7, we got the San Francisco Giants. Pretty much status quo for the Giants. They had a pretty good week. They lost to the Pirates in a series this weekend, so it hurt them a little bit in the overall standings, but still got them right in the hunt in that wild card spot because, as you can see, still 3rd place in the West right there. That brings us to number 6, making their much anticipated debut in the top row. We have the Boston Red Sox. Now, I know a lot of people saying they should have been higher last week. They were 9th. I wasn't completely sold on. Honestly, they went up, and that's because these 2 teams struggled a little bit. They lost to the A's, but I do have noticed the A's are higher. And then this past weekend, they won as well. So, I don't know, they're right in the hunt. And I do think these 2 are nipping on their heels, but I'm giving these guys more respect, which also gives Boston more respect. That brings us to number 5, got the Oakland A's. Ever since they dropped down to the middle at the beginning of the season, started 1-7, they've been probably the hottest team in all of baseball. Their starters have been pretty damn consistent. Their bats are depth all the way through, and they just managed to find ways to win. If you look at the run differential, that's a little bit worrisome. They seem to be running a little hot above expected, so we'll see if they can maintain it with these other guys nipping at their heels. Number 4, same spot as last week. We got the Dodgers. The Dodgers didn't really do anything to bolster my opinion of them that they should go up past these teams. Honestly, the top 4, I'm going to say it right now, are all the same as last week. No one showed that they deserved to really jump the next guy ahead of them, and no one really shit the bed and showed that they should go down. So it's kind of where I'm at. Dodgers nipping on the heels of these guys, but they're playing hot. Houston Astros, number 3. Astros have a good week. Not much else to say. I'm feeling the vibe of the Astros. I feel like they're playing very good baseball. They got very good depth. They've just been all around a good team. I think they're one of the teams to watch out for this season, and that's why clearly top 3. That leads us to number 2. We got the San Diego Padres coming off a sweep of the Cardinals, showing that they're the best. And honestly, I could put them number 1. These two could be interchangeable for sure. But I just didn't feel like number 1 and Chicago White Sox did enough to lose top spot this week. They went 2-2 in a tough fought series against Kansas City. They won the first series of the week. Until they show like they got a tough, rough week or like struggling with certain aspects of their team, I'll keep them in the top spot. The Dodgers lost their top spot because they went on that bad run. Now they're going to have to fight to chip back up there. But yeah, that's our power rankings for this week. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know where I screwed up. Am I still screwing up on Boston? Come on, guys. No, I probably am. But let me know what ones you guys agree with. Like some of these teams in the bottom. Which ones are of this second bottom row still fighting for a playoff spot in your eyes? Which ones have no chance? Who's winning the American League East? It's a 3-way tie right now. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe. We'll see you for the next video.